Well, the conflict in South Sudan remains unresolved. The U.S. says it is helping the warring sides to reach a peace agreement. For details, we turn to Africa 54's Ndimi Akemokaleli. Ndimi.
Thank you, Vincent. Susan Page, the U.S. ambassador to South Sudan, is calling for a return to peace in the newly independent country. She says until the conflict stops, it will be difficult for the nation to resolve issues plaguing citizens, which include human rights violations and press freedom. In an interview with John Tanza of VOA's South Sudan in Focus, Ambassador Page says the U.S. is assisting the Inter-Governmental Authority on Development, or IGAD, which has been mediating the conflict between the warring groups in Ethiopia.
I think that right now it's important that the fighting stop on the ground. And as the peace talks get underway, we are working with IGAD to offer any suggestions, but it is the mediators who ultimately will be putting forward a variety of different proposals after having listened to all of the parties, not just the warring parties that have taken up arms, but also to civil society as well as to others, including the 7 detained who were released to the custody of Kenya. They also have some words to say, and I think it's important that the mediators hear from everyone in South Sudan that can be represented.
The government in Juba has been on record saying that they are doing their best to correct some of the issues that Western diplomats have been raising, issues such as human rights abuse, security sector reform, and then media freedom. You are coming from Juba. Have you seen any concrete signs of improvement?
No, I think right now, especially while they are in a crisis and the government is, the rebels are fighting the government, I think it's very difficult to institute any of these reforms on any sort of a longer lasting basis. Before the conflict broke out, they were in the process of trying to adopt a civil society non-humanitarian organization bill in the parliament that severely restricted fundamental freedoms and human rights. So this has been a trend. I don't think that it's new during this particular time, but I do believe that it will be difficult for them to make the changes that are necessary, especially at a time when so many in the army have deserted or have defected to the rebel side. That to me indicates that there is a much bigger problem, and it is not something that only the outside powers supposedly want. The people of South Sudan are speaking and saying that this is not how they would like for things to go, or they would not be defecting in such large numbers. So we are continuing to work with the government of South Sudan to try to encourage them to stop, as I mentioned, some of the free press violations. It goes against the constitution that the South Sudanese themselves have written and adopted.
Ambassador Page, this might be a personal question to you. You have a long history of involvement with the people of South Sudan, dating back to the years of the signing of the Comprehensive Peace Agreement in Naivasha in 2005. And how do you feel about what is happening in the country, having stayed in Juba for almost a year?
2 years.
2 years.
More than 2 years.
More than 2 years. How do you feel about these things that are happening?
We knew it was going to be difficult, but it's of course painful to see the South Sudanese themselves fighting with each other and the massive destruction and killing that has taken place in the last almost 3 months now, where the violence has just really gotten out of hand and out of control. Thousands of people are dead, towns fully destroyed, villages destroyed. The little infrastructure that had been managed to be built after 2005, gone. Markets, people's livelihoods. So of course it's tragic, and no one can feel good about this. So we will continue to work with the people of South Sudan to try to make it possible for the internally displaced people, as well as those who have left the country out of fear, to be able to come back home, to offer suggestions. But ultimately it's the will of the people of South Sudan to determine their future. And that's exactly what they fought for, is to determine for themselves their future.
How about some critics within the region, especially critics of U.S. government, saying that you saw all the signs of what was happening, but a lot of people kept a distance, and they're acting now when everything is up in flames?
I disagree with that. We did see a lot of the signs of impending violence, given the things that were happening within the government, within civil society as well. But all we can do is advise, offer advice, but people are not obliged to take advice. And ultimately, the government has made decisions, and the people that are fighting the government have made decisions that are out of our control. And at the end of the day, the people of South Sudan have to want the kind of government, want the kind of society that they build themselves. And if they don't want it, we cannot want it more than they do.
Susan Page is the U.S. ambassador to South Sudan. She was speaking on efforts to resolve the conflict in South Sudan with reporter John Tanza of VOA's South Sudan in Focus.